So it's May 12th. We split this yard very hard. We killed all the queens, and every colony that was left behind got a queen cell. And we moved away quite a few 5-frame nukes too, which also got a queen cell. But this is a good example of how our mating percentage on pallets is lower than we experience with nuke boxes. You can see by looking in the grass here that we've lost 3 pallets. We combine pallets, so all the good ones are on the same pallet and all the duds either got stacked on another beehive or loaded on the truck. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There was 13 pallets here. We've lost 3, and we've also lost 2 extra spaces, so I haven't done the math. I don't know what percentage that is, but the rest have got queens, no problem there. But it's just, on our pallets we generally get somewhere between 2/3, sometimes 3/4, and then on a rare occasion we might get 80% or better. We had a few yards south of the shop that did really well, but that's really the exception. This is more typical of mating queens on a pallet, at least in my experience. Others may report something quite different, but I always know when we're putting queen cells on pallets we have a lower take. Loading up everything. We're moving this yard next week. We're going to get it away from this agricultural little valley here, move it to a safe spot, and we're picking up everything. You will, except for the marks in the grass, you will not be able to tell we were here. We'll pick up all trash, all little queen cages and jar caps and buckets, and everything's getting loaded on the truck. We'll move this yard next week, and we'll probably bring bees back here next winter. This agricultural area will be free of pesticide usage back in about August, so we could move back then if we wanted. It's actually a really good goldenrod area, so we might choose to do that. Some of our yards that go deep into some of these hollows don't really have much goldenrod, so we might move them back into an area like this after the pesticide usage is done. Anyway, it's a great area. It's a shame I have to leave for the summer. I've made some great sourwood crops in this yard in the past, but I've also learned just to stay completely clear of that right there. This small yard is near my house on my next door neighbor's property, and they're making honey like crazy. The only problem is it's loaded with mountain laurel, so we can't really harvest it. If I don't want this honey at all, it tastes terrible. Made a couple splits, put some 3rd stories on with drawn comb deep, and then on the ones that are still a double deep we gave them 4 or 5 foundation to draw out. I don't know how long the mountain laurel will last, but it sure looks really good. That's it right there. It is blooming like crazy, and it's not going to be done anytime soon. It's got a lot of buds on it still that aren't opened. And around my house there's just, I would be tempted to say hundreds, but I probably should say thousands of these bushes. We've got a bunch of it. It's really beautiful. It's a wonderful ornamental. Luckily we don't make it every year. Some years it pours in the nectar and some years it doesn't, and this just happens to be one of those years when it is. John, are you eating again?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
John has quite a metabolism. I used to be able to do that. I could eat everything I wanted and never gain weight.
I hope I don't ever.
I can get it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is the part we're not supposed to admit. We got 5 swarms in 1 tree. They all love this tree. We are now to the end of our outfit up in western North Carolina. The bees. Oh, John and I were looking at the book. I don't think we've been here in a month.
It has been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I expected this. I knew this. It's all okay. I know they've done a lot of work in those upper boxes, drawing things out, and it just comes down to the end of the nuke making season. We got to sort out all the messes that we couldn't get to on time. It's all good. We'll get these colonies sorted out. What we'll be doing here today is nuke boxes. I'll be making a bunch of nukes. We got a bunch on this truck, and the other truck's going to show up in a moment with more nuke boxes. We came prepared. We're out of double screen boards, or I'd use a bunch of those too. And we will spread nukes all over the place in this yard and try to make lemonade out of lemons. Okay?
Sure you don't want us to shimmy up that tree? And
You think you can do it? I'll watch.
I think you could.
I'll cheer from the ground. Okay. Lemons or lemonade? There's no honey flow. It's too cool. We went from a warm spell to a cold spell. The next honey to come in is mountain laurel. It's just starting to bloom here, so I don't really want to make any of that. So maybe we can call it lemonade. About 3/4 of these colonies swarmed. It's a lot. And the ones that didn't, we can requeen with one of these nukes after they mate. Now I don't like to do too much of this, like year after year, because you can get an inbreeding situation going on. Next, I'll keep note of this, make a mental note, and next year I'll bring in queens from a different genetic source for sure. Anyway, all these nukes are fat too. I mean, 2-3 frames of brood. There was a lot to work with here. A few colonies had swarmed long enough ago that we couldn't actually do anything with them. We just put the lid back on and marked them as a virgin queen. All the cells had already hatched or been chewed down or something. Anyway, this happens sometimes. We actually have 3 more yards up in this area that I expect to see the same thing in. We just couldn't get to them in time. Got busy with nuke making, some rainy days, and suddenly we were behind. Oh well, it happens. Okay, not quite as much swarming in this yard, but a little bit. What do you think, Seth? About 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 swarmed?
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. You're fine?
No, you're ready.
We're good. Yeah, you can hook her up. We're ready to go. Well, this is what lunch looks like at Blue Ridge Honey Company, and the first question is, Seth, what in the world are you eating?
Oh, this is an MRE.
An MRE?
I'm sure most of y'all probably know what that deal is, but they're pretty
MRE.
good. I love them. They're, good and good for you.
Military.
Well, I gotta say, it looks like it's been eaten once already. John always brings food from where his wife works at the
I got some brisket.
brisket. Yeah, his wife works at a barbecue place, so John eats a lot of meat.
Yes, I do.
And Selena sometimes doesn't bring a lunch at all. And we all feel we're all trying to give her something, and she won't take it. So she took some of my pollen today, and a candy bar from
I got some
Brandon
protein
there.
puffs. They're
You got-
ring-shaped and barbecue flavored. Nice.
What is it called?
They're like, I imagine it's like a Funyun, but it's barbecue flavored.
Barbecued
Protein
flavored.
puff. I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
I'm gonna save those for later.
Protein puff.
Anyway, Seth's been eating those every day. It really looks interesting. Anyway, so we're here transferring nukes into singles. We're in Wolf Fork Valley near Raven Gap, Georgia. These are the nukes that we had left over after selling nukes. We always make too many to make sure we have enough to sell. And then at the end of it all, we transfer whatever we have into singles and run them for the season. So it's a good spot. This mountain behind us is just loaded with sourwood, so we'll see how that turns out this year. Okay, so we're now in what we call the Walmart yard. We got a lot of queen mating nukes out here, and we're beginning to harvest queens for our own purposes. We're selling a few through the store, but not many. I don't get too involved in commercial queen production for others. But they're doing good. We're getting good mating. That's very clear as we go through these. We've got several hundred nukes here. What you got, Selena?
I've got a nuke that's ready to explode, Bob.
Yeah, these nukes are a little bit too big. That's too big. These are queen mating nukes. I only want to have about 1.5 frames of brood in them, so we'll split them.
Okay.
We do not need queen mating nukes to be 5 frames of bees. In fact, it's a mistake because it makes it hard to find the queen.
Okay.
Like that, she's going through it right now. She's struggling to find her queen. If it was only 2 or 3 frames of bees and brood, that would be a lot easier. These colonies were made when we thought we might have to use some of them to sell. We always overbuild nukes in case we have a catastrophe of some sort. We make way more than we need, so we'll have enough to sell in the store, you know, cover our bookings. And so that's why this nuke was made so large. Now that it's just going to become a queen mating nuke for us for the season, we need to trim it back. So we're actually going to be splitting our nukes. That one almost could be split in half. Selena knows how to do it. Okay, this is not sugar. What do you got there in the way of honey? What are they? Show me what color that honey is. Get it on your hive tool.
Okay.
And then I think I want to taste it too. We just saw some black locust trees over there in full bloom, which is a bit of a shock to me. Let me taste that. Oh, that's good. That's a combination of tulip poplar and probably blackberry. Very good.
Do you want to split these as we go, Bob, or do you want
Yeah, let's split them as we go. We got nuke boxes on the truck, so we're going to end up making a bunch of new nukes here. And that happens, when, you know, when you get successful mating with these large nukes, you have to keep splitting. And that's okay. I want a bunch of nukes by the end of summer, you know that.
Oh, yeah.
We've been talking about having 600 nuke. We got 600 nuke boxes now. And we've been talking about using them as queen mating nukes all summer and then go into winter with 600 nuke boxes full of bees. And then perhaps some over double screen boards too. That one looks pretty good, Jesse.
It does. Yeah.
2 of these will make 1 brand new nuke, so kind of 2 to 1 is what I would expect. That nuke is either ready to sell, ready to put in a single. It's almost seems like a shame to disassemble it and harvest the queen, but we do not. Excuse me.
She's laid it up.
We do not need any more colonies of bees. We're busting at the seams right now. So no more colony building for us this year. We got plenty. Brand new. You need more pens in your pocket, Jesse.
I probably do. I got one for the last three years just in case.
Red for 2023. Show me how. Let's see if we can get a close-up of how you're going to put that in a cage. You almost got to herd them into the cage. They just don't. You can't just stuff them in there.
Well, most of the time I open them up and just kind of like layer in.
I'm going to set the screens over here by the nuke.
So you do it different than I do.
So I make sure that way I know that like I've not damaged any of her feet or anything.
Uh-huh.
And then she'll go to the other side.
Yeah, watch for when she goes to the bottom.
Yeah. Just like that.
And there's your opportunity. Yeah.
And that way I know that she's not damaged.
If I did this for a living, if I caught queens for a living, I'd have me a donut seat pad on that thing.
Yeah.
My butt gets kind of tired of sitting on these things.
We can do some
do
hillbilly
this.
upholstery.
We can tell when they make their own right now because of the difference in the age of the brood. If they raise their own, the brood is younger. And I like to say nukes like this that are built with a queen cell begin to explode at around 5 weeks. These are just a little bit over 4 weeks old. They're, let's see, they'd be about, I think they're 31 days old right now, maybe 32.
Okay.
So they're not far from 5 weeks. When the brood that this brand new queen starts to hatch,
It's on.
that thing's going to explode, and that's the time to sell them if you're raising them from a cell is right at 5 weeks.
Okay.
Of course, the ones we make with a caged queen, we have to sell them at 3 weeks because they're they'd be ahead. Okay.
Did John tell you we're in a race?
Yeah, we're in a
You're-
race. We're trying to
Who's racing? You racing each other?
yeah,
We're
see who
racing
can
each
get the
other.
most queens.
We do it every
And she
time.
beat me last time. She
Okay.
beat me last time.
What do you do? Count?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just count how many queens we found.
Okay.
See who caught the most.
We're not. I don't think we got enough cells. We only got 130 cells. I don't think we're going to get through this line because of all the splits. So Selena, remember this morning I was telling you sometimes we use 48-hour queen cells?
Yeah.
I think next week we're going to be doing it because we need to get back here and get this done. And if we wait for our next round of mature cells, these things are going to be hatching and we're going to have an issue.